Well, today I'm going to do a painting of a scene from northern Scotland. I came across this photograph. Some friends, some people I know have sent this picture or taken this picture of the view from the what they call the NC500, North Circular 500. It's a route that you can take. I think it starts in Inverness in Central Highlands in Scotland, and it goes, you can do clockwise or anti-clockwise, but you go all around, you track all around the west coast, north and around and back into Inverness. And most people do it with a motorhome. I suppose you could do it in other ways. Maybe you can find accommodation. But there's some absolutely spectacular views to be had there. So I'm going to have a go at this picture. What makes this so dramatic, of course, is this lovely sky and this cloud bank here, and this little bit of a beach there. Water on both sides, and this probably a sea lock. But look how the clouds are coming down over the hills. This rolls in. This is a typical scene that you get in the Highlands. But I've got lots of lovely colours to go for. It certainly isn't green, just that little bit here, yellow, bright greens. But look at those hillsides, all the heather, I guess, different sort of purples and colours. But you've got a different banks of hills here. You've got this bit in the foreground here, just coming down to the lock, and behind you've got another bank of hill, or another element of it, and then of course the big hill there, and one set back a little bit lost in the mist. So I've got to try and get that shape, but light, so not very much colour, much more muted, so it can send it back. But look at that light coming through the clouds there, and look at the different things here. I've got some sparkle on the water, but this is quite bright in the foreground. I've got a little cottage here which I've done, a few structures here, and in the foreground I've got this lovely old wall, so I might try and do that. But anyway, let's have a go at that, and you can see that I've sketched it out there, so we can have a go. Anyway, I think the large part of this is going to be this cloud formation, so I think I've got to give some thought to how I get that done. Now, what brush should I use? I think I'm not going to do... Yes, I think I need a nice blue, a nice cerulean blue. So I'm going to get a little puddle of that going. Wake my colours up a bit dry, and give them a bit of an agitation. This is cerulean, I think I'm going to use. Perhaps I might put a little bit of cobalt as well to give it a little bit more intensity. But I've got to come down so far and then leave this bank of white. So I've got a challenge here. Just get straight in, bite the bullet. It comes down like this. So I can leave little elements for the bit of the clouds, some some more colour, but this down here is, I want a nice, it's got to be a good bank, I think. So let's make sure it's got a nice vivid, fairly intense colour there. Right, I think I'm going to leave that as it is. And then I've got to get a little bit of umber, I think. A little bit of umber, just to take something off of that white. So let's just leave this. I put a little bit, a tiny hint of purple as well, I think, into it. It's going to come right down pretty much to the sea there, and up to this sort of headland as well. Right, let's just leave that. My brighter parts are obviously where the whiter of the cloud. Let's get a bit more purple again in places anyway, and leave that. I want to get sort of to leave a margin around the darker cloud. It's fairly thick in parts too. Right, I think I'll leave that for the moment. Right. Let's leave it now. Now I think we could, let's put in my sea. Well, this is dry. I need to let this sky dry off a little bit. It's coming right down to these clouds over this. So I'll leave that for the moment. Let's get in this body of water. So let's get some, I don't want it too bright. I'm looking at it now. So with watercolour, of course you can weaker by having more water, less colour intensity. So I've got water in here in this little section here. Hope that light is not glaring on that water and that wet, but that'll dry off in a minute and it'll be easier for you to see. I think it needs to be a bit darker than that, so let's tone it down a little bit. All right. Okay, we'll go with that. comes right down that rocky promontory there, and we've got water this side as well. A sort of embankment along here. Trying to keep a little bit of sparkle, a few white spots will be okay, because that can represent a bit of sunlight sparkling off the water. Can you see the general shape of it now? I've always wanted to do this lovely tour, the NC500. I might yet do it. You can hire motorhomes and do it. Or you could take your own, of course, if you're lucky enough to have one. Right. Okay, stay with that, I think. And in the foreground, we can get straight into that with a nice sort of greeny browny wash. We'll tighten up on these colours later, but this gives us somewhere to go if we want to step up the colour. Because you remember, in watercolour, generally you paint from the all your lightest colours, light, and then put in your darks opposite to the convention with oil. But like all these rules, you can, under certain circumstances, you might alter them. I think I'm going to have a little bit of raw sienna in here, because it's a lot warmer. That's right, that's what we need here, I think. Right, we can do that. Using a Chinese brush here, nice calligraphy brush, but they hold a lot of water and give you some randomness which you want. Now what it's, yes, on this is a lightish colour, so I'm going to put a little bit of ochre there, a little bit of yellow ochre there, all this bit of island or promontory here sticking out. Nice, try to keep the shape of it. And go paint around my house for the moment to preserve some of the white. Now, while this is still wet, perhaps I should using my wet on wet, let's put a little bit of light red, tone it down a little bit with a bit of blue and a little bit of umber, because I want some darks here. There are darks that come right in here actually, and beyond my wall here yes, that's and let's get a bit of yellow mix in our green there. These colours, they can merge into each other. I think I move this up a little bit, this dark. And we've got some darks on this rocky outcrops, and here I left some marks on my sketch to remind me of some of these darker elements. So I think I'm going to put a bit of blue in there. Bluey. That's it. That's what we can do. So it comes out here as well. And there's, let me think. Yeah, let's put some more marks in here. I'll put some drier marks in there to show the grass as we get a little bit further in. There's the little bit of a beach along there. Right, we'll do that. And then we've got some nice greens as well along here. And we've got hints of it too in parts of the island there. Well, it's not strictly an island, I don't think. Right, let's leave that for the moment. We need and just on the this area here, I want to get that nice big mass actually of darker brown, blue. Let's put some ultramarine in there with a bit of hookers or viridian. Let's choose some viridian. So we've got some colour there. Yes, I can do that. And that rock, so yes, just before this rock, so I've got a bank of gorse and old hedge vegetation of some sort. Now, yes, I can see now I need much darker, so I'm going to put a bit of Payne's grey to darken up this bank of old gorse. I want to see about my values. I'm squinting my eyes a little bit and seeing where I could have darker textures, darker tones. I think there too. And let's get some reds in as well. Some reds and purple. We can some gorse and some yellows. I think we should do that. Make it interesting. See, we've got some colour here, but some darker elements as well. Let's get back to the greens. Right, we got this point on this brush. You see, you can use the body of it, the belly of it, the fat part, but you can also just use the little tips like that to suggest some clumps of grasses as you go. Now I've got to deal with these rocks, so let's put this shape in. It's an old wall actually, so I've got to try and suggest that. Leave some of the whites of the rock there. And do that by putting some of the darker tones in to suggest some of the shape of, these are the cracks between these rocks. Trying to leave the white to suggest some big old wall that's seen better days. Comes down here, down to the hillside there. And again, I'm looking at my big bush here. Let's get some stiff greens in here. Right, and let's try and do some grass here. Now, let me think, what about this? Yes, I think I need some weak greens in here still, and there maybe. And Yes, I think a little bits of green here. Still. Yes, I think we can go with that. Some rocks on the seashore there. Right, now this little bit of shingle there, I need to represent that somehow. How do I do that? I think I need a little bit of ochre, and it's still light. Yes, that can do it. That'll do it. And the other side here, all this bit of a dam or a rock embankment. I think I'll let that dry a little bit, and then we can put in a little bit of detail. But actually, while I'm there, I think we need to suggest that bit of beach there, and also along here perhaps just colour that lightly. Right, now what are we going to do about these mountains? Have I got, I'm just looking now, have I got enough darks into some of that promontory there? There's a few dark shapes there that I can see. Let's get something that is thick. Yes, and there's quite a bit of a rocky outcrop there, which is reading quite dark. So I think I'm going to do that. Oh, and I can see along this edge here. Yes, that we can do. Some variety, and try and get more of that hedge. It's not reading so well. I need a bit of a harder line on there. But yes, I think we'll wait for it to dry a little bit. So let's get in with those mountains. I'm looking at now, we've got a sort of red, purpley colour. Let's get a red, a bit of violet, put a bit of cobalt with it. Let's just see if it hits the mark. Yes, that's not so bad. This headland here, very blued out because I want to put it back. I want to push it back a little bit. In fact, I think it can be a bit darker than that. So let's darken up a bit. I think I have to let that dry a little bit. Now this is a bit reddish actually. Let's see with a little bit of probably raw sienna and a bit of umber. A little bit of blue with it, I think. That's tricky. I think we can make that a little redder. Let's put a bit of cadmium, just a little bit to make it read a little redder. Yes. So I think we're going to yes, it comes right down to the water. That's all one mass, that one. So, but I've got to make sure the other planes are a little bit different in colour, so that they'll stand out. They'll mark, they'll view on a different plane. Yes, I think it's definitely a lot bluer, so the one's behind, so I'm going to get a little bit of, quite a bit actually, of ultramarine here. Yes, I think we can see that, and obviously little bits behind there. And I think this is got to be a much darker. Right, and then we've got to bring this down so it disappears in the clouds there. The cloud, and I'll soften that up in a minute. Just see little bits of it coming. And we put a bit of different colours in here, and we could actually suggest some tree line, which you do get. Right, there we go. Now I think I need to soften up a couple of places. So I'm going to clean off my brush a little bit there. So it's dampish. See if I can soften that line there. So I suggest these clouds are just poking their headlets. Yes, I think I need You need a combination of hard and sharp, soft and hard. Yes, I think, can you see that sharper edge, that grayer tone of cloud? I need to use this damp brush to just break that sharp element there. Perhaps do something with that little bead I've got going there. Could do with a little bit of dark in some of these, I think. Oh, that's better. Yes, I've got a little bit of ultramarine on my brush there, and this will help create a bit more drama in our cloud form. Yes, I think that's better. And we've got also along here cloud base there. But I'm just thinking now though, my C lock here is not intense enough. I need to do that. So I'm going to really step that up a little bit. It's not anything like as blue as we should have it. Right, and it actually does come right up to my landmass there, so I better do that. And up there as well. And it's okay, and also this is not reading as water because it's too light. I've got to get that little curve in there. It's a nice feature. So that's it. Okay, now I think, what about this foreground? Let's get some a smaller brush, a little rigger have I got, or certainly a more pointed brush I've got some control of. I need to put something in this house here. Give it some colour. Let's just wash that in. Okay. And on the on this gable end, I should make it a lot darker. So let's get something, a little bit of Payne's grey, mix it with that blue. I don't want it too black because it will bring it too close. I don't want it close. I want it to be set back there. Right, let's leave that. And there were other structures here actually. One or two other building, old fishing things perhaps. The remains of a ladder up the wall there. A little bit of detail. I could probably use some gouache in a minute. Trying to give some sharper edges to suggest old stones, old bricks, or not bricks, rocks and stone. Now let's get some of what we can do with getting some grass going. It's tricky with this, you can't do too much, because where does it end? Just try and suggest it. I think I could put some stiffer mixture here. Yes, this is sap green. And we've got to get some here as well. And we'll put some Payne's grey because we need it certainly a lot darker. And a bit of grounded as well. And here, let's get some ochre going as well. There we go, just a little bit to add some interest. Some bit of a brown path there actually. A little bit of variety to help take our eye down there a little bit. Again, yes, it's more a reddy colour. It's, yes, do that. Bit of green, blues. Some different shapes, but I need to try and illustrate more a few marks on this structure here. It's a bit of a few lines, got like a flood protection, I think, something like that. So this will help the reader see what it is. Right, okay, let's review it now. Yes, let's add some different colour there. Now I need perhaps some different planes in there to make it more interesting. Try and show that line a little bit better, that mountain side there. And could put some different planes in there to help it read. And I'm just thinking along this edge, we could put a bit of dark to emphasize that beach area a little bit, I think. Gives the eye something. Right, here we go. A little dark down here as well. Sort of ghosting of some hillside showing there. Sort of being enveloped in the fog, or the mist that rolls in, which can happen in a very short order, very quickly. You can get caught out on the hills too if you're not careful. Now let me think, have I got, perhaps I need to add more texture to the foreground. So I've got a stiff little old battered fan brush, so I think I'm going to see what I can do with that. Get a mixture of colours, get a few different things and see what we can do with that. Yes, I think that helps. Just flick it up like that. Little bits of red, sort lot of heather and gorse. Suggest it. Now, should I put in a little tiny, with a tiny brush, the smallest one I can get, and see if we can dropping a little few features on the house there. A couple of windows, I think there's 3 or more windows there. Right, I think I'm nearly done actually. I think try not to do too much. Chimney there. Is that too... it's quite light there, isn't it? I think I need to take that down a little bit. It's just a little too bright. So I've got a little bit of crimson alizarin there and a bit of purple. Let's get a little bit more purple, a little blue, ultramarine, and darken up the odd element there. Right, there's a little bit of light coming through some of these areas, so I've got to try and suggest some of that. But I think I'm pretty much done on this one. Let's just use a little bit more of my fan brush. It's quite stiff and spiky. Look at that. That gives you some good grasses. Got to try not to overdo it though. Let's put a bit of purple in here, I think. You get all the heathers in Scotland. Beautiful. Actually, I think I'm going to put a bit of gouache onto the front of my house, because there's a feature of this Highlands, some of these little Highland cottages are nice and white. They stand out. So I think I'm going to put a little bit there. So I'll make sure I've got a nice clean brush. So I take my gouache. This is Winsor & Newton designer gouache. Can you see that? So let's get a little bit and do the front of this house. And put some more here, and sometimes on the shoreline you have them too. So I can't actually see in my reference any, but I'm going to use a bit of artistic license communities are along the shoreline, little fishing communities. Yes, I think we could do that. And we got something more there. And I'm just thinking I could put a little bit of white along here, emphasize our shore there. And actually I can see a little sparkle on the sea here. Don't know if the camera's picking that up. But I've already got preserved a little bit of white actually from my when I did the wash, so not so bad. I think I'll put a little bit here. Right. Now what about yes, there are some streaks of white in the sky here actually, along these margins. Right. Yes, we can do that. We can even put some in here, I've noticed. Right. Yes, I think I'm going to leave this the way it is. You don't want to fiddle. You invariably regret it. So clean my brush up a little bit. And leave it there. So there you have it. This is a scene in Scotland in the North Circular route, I think it's called, NC500. I presume it's about 500 miles around. It'll take you a week or so in your hired motorhome if you get to do it that way. But it's spectacular, the Highlands generally. So you won't be disappointed, I can assure you that. There you go. I think, yes, let's not fiddle with it. Right, if you enjoyed this, please give me a like or consider subscribing to the channel. That doesn't cost you anything, but it helps the channel grow and gives me some encouragement as well. So, thanks for watching.